Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Hi. I am very excited about today's class.
Yeah, something I've never made before, so it will be instructive, and it sounds really good and pretty. Dare I say easy? Maybe.
It was surprisingly easy. So I had some leftover rice a couple weeks ago, and I, in a way that I didn't think of it prior to this pandemic, that I might have, I don't know, gotten rid of it or not used it, or it wasn't that much. But I had rice, I had some breadcrumbs, and I had some mozzarella cheese, and I thought, Arancini, let's try it. And so we did. The day before we got a dog, that's right. And so we, everything is measured now in before dog and after dog. So we are now, what are we? 6 BD, no, 6 AD, 6 days after the dog.
The boys are sitting with their dog on the
Oh, that's cute.
and it's really.
So it's a great way to use leftover rice. And what's going to be fun about today, what we're going to sort of experiment with, is using what we have in our fridge or in our pantries for breadcrumbs. So breadcrumbs is one of those things that I am like, whenever I'm cooking, I'm always like, oh, I forgot to get breadcrumbs.
Same. I forget to stock them in the pantry, and then I end up getting very creative with what counts as breadcrumbs in this house. And usually,
that's what's amazing. I have not done that, so that's kind of new for me. So I was watching a video not too long ago that did this experiment, or like a cooking test, where he was breading chicken with all different crushed up crumbs. So he crushed. He crushed Cheerios.
He crushed
Cheerios. He crushed Cheerios.
He crushed sour cream and onion.
Sour cream and onion Pringles.
The wheat thins.
Wheat thins. Goldfish.
Extra cheddar blasted.
Do we have that?
Yeah.
Oh, we do have the flavor blasted.
Flavor blasted. I mean.
And so he tried chicken tenders with all these toppings. He also used a waffle cone. And his name is.
What's his name? But he does really.
I'll have to put it on our website. His videos are really good. But he tried all these different toppings for his chicken tenders, and he concluded that the goldfish was the absolute best chicken tender breading.
That's awesome, because that is something that I always have in this house. In fact, we have the family size.
The master size. The second place, I think, was a waffle cone, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, a waffle cone was the second place, which I thought was fun. It said like a little sweetness. So basically, we can go ahead and get started.
Thank you, both of these.
Yeah, we're going to do, I think in our house, we're going to do 2 versions, because I do have some shredded cheese, mozzarella cheese. I thought I had a ball, but I don't. And then I have some cheddar cheese. So I'm going to do some where I'm going to do a cube of cheddar in the middle of my rice ball, and I'm going to dredge those in the goldfish. And the other ones I'm going to do with mozzarella cheese and a more traditional, I don't think I'm going to use those. I just brought them out as examples. I'm going to use a panko for that. But I brought some other options. You absolutely could use like a Oreo, or I keep saying that, like a Cheerios, or this is a oat cereal. It's going to add a little bit of sweetness to it. You could use Rice Krispies.
Triscuits.
You could use Triscuits, which is my absolute favorite cracker of all time. That would be really good. That would probably add a really good crunch. But I'm going to do 1 batch with panko, 1 batch with cheddar, blasted, extra cheddar, goldfish. So the first thing we're going to do is kind of get up our mise en place. So a mise en place, if we remember, is putting things in place. So we're going to get our goldfish crushed. Really fun. We're going to get our breadcrumbs ready to go.
All right, so I'm also going to try the goldfish, because we haven't done that before. So I'm going to are you crushing them by hand or putting them in a food processor?
So I always do them in a bag. I use my meat tenderizer. I know, I'm just using cubes. So I just put them in a bag like this. And then I take, you want to do the honors? I take my meat tenderizer, but you can do that, and we're gonna do it right on this. Right, we're just gonna but you could always just use like a cup or a bowl, and we just get to mashing. It's one of the favorite things that my kids like to do.
All right, that seems right up.
So normally for dredging like a chicken tender or chicken, if I want to do like breaded chicken, usually you want to use like a nice flat bowl so that you can spread everything out.
Yeah.
I'm using my glass bowls just to make it easier for everybody to see. But if you have low, shallow bowls, that's going to work the best.
I don't think we have a meat tenderizer. I know we have like.
I mean, I use the meat tenderizer because we have it. I don't use it for anything else except for like crushing Oreos. I don't use it as a meat tenderizer, but I do have it. But you absolutely could just use like the bottom of if you took like a small pot.
Right.
Okay. And crush with that, you could do that. So you want to, I was going to keep crushing there. I've got my panko breadcrumbs ready to go. I may add a little bit of, you can add some seasonings here. Like I have some oregano. Maybe I'll just do oregano. You might want to add a little bit of salt to your breadcrumbs.
Wow. Margot, is this heaven?
I mean, oh, Margot, isn't that fun?
Yeah.
Are you smishing the goldfish?
Be really strong. Do it as hard as you can.
So that's why exactly what you're doing right now is why I never use a food processor for making.
Right.
It's because they love to do it.
Oh, look at that.
Wow, you gotta really go for it. Look at Margot's gonna get me done before you. I'm gonna add a little bit of salt to my breadcrumbs as well because mine aren't seasoned at all. And maybe a little bit of pepper as well.
On your face.
Sometimes I just buy the seasoned breadcrumbs because it's easier.
Right.
Let's see. We have goldfish crumbs. That was fun. Let me see. Oh, are they good? All crumbed up like that? Amy asked if you want super fine crumbs. The finer that they are, the easier they're going to stick to your rice balls. So if you get them pretty small and fine, that's good. You want them to be. I think we're good.
I've got some in there.
I think we're good. So we've got our breadcrumbs ready.
Okay, keep going.
We got our cheddar crumbs ready.
Your hands kind of like punch it.
This one's a good one. It's kind of low and shallow.
This is kind of low shallow. So we've got our goldfish.
Okay, we're all done with that.
We've got our
Yeah, you gotta mix that.
mix that up together. That's our breadcrumbs with a little bit of oregano, salt, pepper. More traditional.
I like that one with the mustard.
And then Ella, let's start with just one egg here.
Okay.
I say 1 to 2 eggs because
Hey, this is cool before
it just depends on how much you go through and how many you're making.
Right. Not right now.
So let's see. So Marcy, you guys are going to use goldfish. Awesome. And you guys have some rice. So I use for the rice. Let me talk a little bit about the rice while we get our egg cracked and stirred.
What happened to this egg? It just gave up.
The egg just, the yolk just didn't even stay together. So for the rice, these rice balls are actually great for me because I am terrible at making rice. My rice comes out mushy every time. It's never fluffy. And for this recipe, that's awesome.
Right.
Because if the rice can sort of stick together in a nice ball like this, it's good. If your rice is cold, like let's say it's been in the refrigerator, sometimes that makes it less easy to stick together.
Yeah.
And so if your rice is a little bit cold, add a little bit of water, stick it in the microwave or on the stovetop for just a minute or two and kind of get it mushy again because the starch will rinse off the rice and we'll get it mushy. But I used, I had some leftover risotto rice. And I had some leftover sushi rice. So I kind of mixed those together and cooked it a little mushy this time for this purpose. So can you go ahead and get those nice and stirred up?
It's like gluey. Obviously, that's going to make it easier to handle, right? Less crumbly.
Exactly. So I'm going to mix my, and here's the other thing. If your rice is really dry, because you are better at cooking rice than I am. And it's nice and fluffy. One of the things you can do is you can crack an egg and you can mix your rice with the egg and some breadcrumbs and Parmesan, and it creates like a kind of a gluey paste. And that's just fine as well. So you can actually go ahead and mix your rice with your egg and your breadcrumbs in a bowl. And that's going to get your rice a little bit. That's what I did the last time because I had some brown rice, but it was really cold.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to get it a little bit more stuck together. Okay, so I'm going to start with just a little bit of rice because I just am not sure how many I want to make. Now here's a trick. When we so I'm going to add the Parmesan cheese in.
Did we do Parmesan last time?
We did. Okay, good. Can you go ahead and
Mix that with that?
no, just mix your Parmesan. Well, here we got that. Okay. I need you to cut some blocks of cheddar. Can you scooch over to the next chair or just a little from this chair? I'm going to get some cheddar blocks going. So in terms of how much cheese you want on the inside, it's kind of up to you. I'm going with blocks that are about, like a 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch. So will you cut?
I have some, but I have a little cheese bandit over here.
Yeah, this is one of those recipes where there's lots of good things to eat in the meantime. So I've got some of that. And if you have shredded cheese, here's another option. You can just mix it right in with the rice and it'll make the whole thing mushy rather than just having a little bit of cheese in the center of your rice ball. But I think that
The cheese in the center is at the bottom.
she really likes the cheese in the center. So we're going to try to kind of like smush our shredded cheese together into the center of our rice ball. Another trick with making the rice balls is getting them in the freezer for a little bit before you actually put them in the egg and the batter and the breadcrumbs. And that's because it's just going to make it a little bit firmer and stick together a little bit better. I think that's quite good for the cheddar. We're not going to make too many yet.
Anxiety with this is how.
And you also can use flour. So the trick with dredging like a chicken cutlet, let's say, is you take your cutlet and you dip it in flour first because the flour is going to stick to the chicken. And then you put it in the egg because the egg needs something to stick to. And the egg will stick to the flour. And then you dip it in the breadcrumbs because the breadcrumbs will stick to the egg. So it goes flour, and then the egg needs something to stick to. So the flour is why you go first. So you go flour, so the egg has something to stick to. Then egg, and then breadcrumbs.
What about milk? Sometimes they have milk.
Sometimes I put milk in with my eggs. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So now we're going to take.
Well, look at that on the cheese, doctor. I just mended the cheese.
Awesome. Now you're going to take, I don't know, a tablespoon, maybe 2 tablespoons of rice in your hands. Yeah, you can definitely do one. Okay.
Mix all that.
And mine is nice and smushy rice because, like I said, I am not good at making rice. So mine is a nice rice ball just like this. And you're going to take your thumbs and kind of just make a hole in the middle. I think for this one, I'm going to start with my cheddar. You take a piece of cheese and stick it right in the middle. And then you might need a little bit more rice.
No, you can help me with the cheese, though.
This is messy, by the way. This is not a,
Did I put the...
yep, go ahead and put cheese. So we're going to do the breadcrumb ones. All right, so now I have a nice rice ball.
You mean
The goldfish, I'm sorry. And I'm gonna dip mine a little bit in the flour just to make sure the egg has something to stick to. Okay.
Should I dip mine?
You can. Yep. Did you put cheese in?
Yeah.
Okay. And then I'm gonna put mine in the egg mixture because I need something for the goldfish to stick to. Okay. This is messy. I'm not gonna lie. And then we're gonna roll it in goldfish.
Okay, I think we botched this a little bit over here, but it's salvageable. We made like in with the rice. I thought you were making like a.
Oh, you totally can. Did you mix the cheddar goldfish with the rice? Is that what we said?
Not the goldfish. I mixed egg and cheese in with the rice.
Oh, totally fine. That is absolutely fine. Yeah, I did that when my rice wasn't mushy enough the last time. I mixed it in because it made it.
Okay, right.
You absolutely can. There's really just no wrong way to do this. Marin asked if you mix anything in with the rice. I mixed my Parmesan cheese in with the rice. However, You don't have to. You could just keep it plain rice. You also could put your egg in if you wanted to, or you could just leave it with just your rice. But if your rice is not smushy enough, that mixing the egg in is just fine. Okay. So I'm going to do another one. Will you be in charge of getting the
So now we're gonna
mozzarella cheese into the middle?
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Because my hands are so messy.
Yeah.
Okay.
put a
So again, if you want your rice balls to have a little more firmness before you roll them, you can put them in the freezer for about 5 minutes. I didn't do that because just because of the timing right now, but it's not a bad idea to get them in the freezer.
Right. So this is actually, I did mix cheese and egg in with the rice, and it's like very sticky and pliable and easy to make like a snowball out of.
Yeah.
All right.
Perfect. Okay, so this is the, yeah, sure.
Right.
Okay, so I have one with mozzarella cheese ready to go. I'm gonna dip it a little bit in the flour. Keep smooching it. Get it in the egg. And then this one's going in the breadcrumb.
Okay. Mark, taking baking her hands over here.
This is a messy recipe. It is very messy. Okay.
Let's do another
I'm just going to show you. There's one with the breadcrumb. Okay, while Ella works on the next one, I'm going to rinse my hands. I'm going to get my oil heated.
Cook it. Okay, roll it in the goldfish like this. Roll
So
it.
here's the thing with the oil. You definitely, for the ones that are going to be more like Italian flavored, and olive oil is really nice, but olive oil is kind of expensive to fry things in. The other thing with olive oil, it has a lower, I don't think it's like temperature, like it burns at a lower temperature. And
Right.
so olive oil can often get really smoky and burn, where something like a vegetable oil can take a lot more heat before it gets to that burn. Same thing with like butter. Butter has a low burning temperature. Do you need cheese? All right. We're going to mix some cheese in. So I'm actually going to use vegetable oil and I'm going to use a little bit of olive oil. I'm going to mix them together. Stuff in this one with some cheese. You got it? Okay. So with the shredded cheese, I think it's probably easier to have a partner or to mix it in with your rice. And then the whole rice ball will be melty. Okay, so now I'm going to move over to my oil. I'm going to add you can deep fry these for sure. And that's probably the more traditional way to go.
Okay, but you have to wait.
I don't feel like using up that much oil. And actually, I still have it. I forgot, and I actually have some oil that I saved. So even after we fry these, if you have some oil left over, you can save it as long as it doesn't have anything in it. So I'm going to add some of the oil that I saved from a little while ago. That's the one we made donuts, actually. And I'm going to get this started. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of just a kernel of rice or two. And when it starts to get bubbles around it, I know it's hot enough to put my rice balls in.
Okay, yeah, that I was sort of nervous about getting that going with Margot right here because it does need to get pretty hot, and you're doing it in like a, shallow pan. So
yeah, so I would say you can absolutely make these and then cook them at another time when kids are not around. Elle, should we make some more?
Sure.
I think we should. Should we make some with the mozzarella mixed in?
No, I like.
You like it in the middle as a little treat in the middle. All right.
I think it tastes better.
So we're gonna make some more while our oil
These
heats.
ones I think are gonna be my favorite because I just really like the way Italian breadcrumbs taste.
You do. I am interested in the goldfish ones. I think the boys might like the goldfish ones because they
And
love
I like
goldfish.
mozzie more than I like cheddar cheese.
Much
Yeah.
more.
you really can't go wrong when you're doing anything that's like breaded and then fried. It's pretty much guaranteed to taste
Right? I know.
I like fried.
All right.
Why don't they make fried goldfish?
You're gonna keep going here, Elle?
Yeah. I'll make another.
Okay. We'll make a couple more. My oil is close to, well, it's getting there, but it's not hot yet. I don't have bubbles around my rice quite yet.
When it gets going, Jen, about how long does it take to cook?
So you don't want it to be too hot, because if it's too hot, it's going to brown before it gets actually cooked through.
Right.
So you want it to be, I would say you want it browned on all sides. And it's like, a minute or so on each side. But you want it to cook through. So you do want it to be kind of a slow, you want to make sure your oil's not too hot so that it doesn't overcook. I'm going to put up a comment here because I think somebody just won the game, won the Arancini game. Prosciutto and provolone.
Oh, yeah.
She won, for sure.
Well, I asked because, I did mix the egg in with the rice. And so obviously if you've done that, you have to make sure that the egg cooks. Right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And you want the cheese in the middle to be melted.
Yeah. So
you do want to make sure it's in for long enough for that to happen. All right. So I actually am putting in my first batch, and I'm going to show, because my oil heated up just enough that I had some bubbles there. And Ella's continuing to make more. I think we should make a couple more goldfish ones, Elle.
Yeah, that's what I'm making.
Oh, you're making a goldfish right now? Okay. So we've got those going. I also have a tray lined with paper towel just for when it comes out of the oil to drain a little bit. And I'm going to use my handy tongs. So I have my tongs here to flip them. So they're definitely not there yet. They're just browning. So my oil is a really nice temperature because there's a lot of bubbles around them, but they're not, or like it wasn't like a quick fry where they're browning right away. I'm curious what everybody else is using for their breadcrumbs and also for their cheese.
Jen, can you say again, when you put the oil on, like what, I know you have a gas burner and I have electric, but what setting did you put it on?
I had it on medium, and I'm kind of adjusting as we go along. So right now I put it down to low because, like I said, I want it to brown pretty slowly so that it cooks all the way through. Okay. So we've got another. Okay, so how many more should we make here? Should we make
another breadcrumb?
Should I make one?
Make a breadcrumb.
Right.
Make another breadcrumb. Okay, so I'm going to make a breadcrumb.
Or whichever one you want. I don't know.
We get some of the cheddar cheese. I'm going to take some cheese and put it on the counter here, so we have it.
On like professional cooking shows, they have like assistants who come through and help clean up the set.
I know the quick cleanup.
I have an assistant who just wrecks the set. All right.
So Amy and Olivia asked how much oil we should use, and I would say I have less than a half an inch. It just covers the bottom of the pan. Why don't you make another breadcrumb one?
Okay.
I'm gonna add my egg. Oops, I forgot to add flour. Have you been adding flour?
Yes.
Yeah. When I add it just to the egg, to the that one I forgot to add flour to, and the egg just didn't stick as well.
All right. Let me make sure that they're both alive. I'll be right back.
Yep, we're good here. I'm gonna rinse my hands and I'm gonna check on the ones that are cooking now. When they are done, you'll see that they're going to be nice and browned on all sides. So let's check them. So that's getting brown. It's not. I'm going to turn that one over. These are the. It's funny. It's hard to tell with the ones that are with the goldfish ones. You can't really tell if they're brown.
Do you think they're brown?
I think they're brown because they're crispy, but you can't really tell if they're getting golden or not because the goldfish are golden. This is so funny. All right, I'm going to add some more. Oh, nice.
That one's a big fat.
Do you think we should be done or should we keep going?
I don't know.
We could save that rice for something else.
Depends on what you want.
All right, so I'm adding a few more here. Let's see. So Marin is using Parmesan, cheddar, and mozzarella cheese.
Delicious.
That sounds pretty good. And we've got Swiss cheese But Nana has shredded into bits. That's Swiss. You know what would be really good? Swiss cheese and peas and maybe a little bit of ham would be really good. So we're going away from sort of like what the traditional arancini are, obviously.
Yeah, don't traditionally use crushed goldfish in Sicily.
I think maybe not. Oh, and we have a comment about loving the shoulder sous chef.
My God. It's actually working well because she can't reach anything.
Yeah, I was gonna say hands are only in your hair. It's the only thing she can mess up right now.
Yeah, and can't really mess it up because this is all we got going on. It's quarantine.
All right, I'm gonna just use up the rest, a little bit more of my rice here. I'm gonna add some mozzarella cheese to this one. I'm actually gonna do a few now that I think about it. I'm gonna do a few where I just add the cheese right into it. It's just gonna make it a lot easier. I know, Ella, I know, but these won't. You don't have to eat these.
I'm just gonna eat the ones.
She's just gonna eat the ones that have the surprise cheese in the middle. All right.
We have a new dog, Margot. Remember?
So we're gonna roll them in flour again. Get them into the egg wash. Oops.
You want a piece of cheese?
A little bit more.
Well, they're cooking right now.
Sometimes when you put them in the egg wash, it kind of falls apart, but the egg pulls it right back together again.
Yeah, if I were doing this again, I probably would put the goldfish in the food processor and just pulse it because then it would turn into like such a fine.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. The finer it is, the easier it is going to be to stick.
Right.
Oh, Dill, Marin's dog is helping clean the girl's hands. Oh, that is a fantastic trick. I'm going to add that to the repertoire now that we have that option. All right, so I'm flipping mine, are getting nice and golden. So see, they're not cooking too fast.
Ooh, look what
The center of the pan is definitely a little more cooked. Maybe I'll move this one to the center, move these ones to the outside.
Yeah, we're going to see the dog at the end. Then remind me, how do you know when it's hot enough to put the risotto?
I put a couple rice kernels in. And when I saw bubbles around it, I felt like that was kind of ready to get started.
Oh, okay, that's a good trick.
And then just kind of monitoring it. And like I said, I used a mix. Oh, look at this is so funny. I don't know if you can see this. This one has like a full-on goldfish on that side. It almost looks kind of sad. Like we cooked a goldfish. This one has a goldfish that didn't get crumbled at all.
Do you think they're almost ready?
I think they are. So this one's stuck a little bit. That one wasn't quite. Oh, you know what? Ella.
What?
I'm going to tell you a little something that happened. So I put one in that had the mozzarella cheese all mixed in, and it actually is falling apart a little bit because the cheese is melting. Isn't that funny? So that is something to know. But that may not work as well. I have one here that's falling apart, and it's the one that was all mixed together. I know. I'm going to just keep trying to smush it back together again. It'll come back together. All right. We are almost done with our first batch.
I'm pretty excited about this. This is like something to have in the repertoire, like you said, for when you have extra rice, or just have like not a whole lot to make dinner out of, because you can use some bits of.
Laura, I'll finish that for you because because that's exactly what happened. It was like Thursday night or Friday night. I was like kind of out of food. Like I just didn't have a lot. I had like the dregs. I had like a little bit of rice. I had a little bit of everything. And I just kind of thought like, well, what can I do with this? And it was kind of awesome to come, to be like, oh, I actually could make these rice balls.
They're like delicious and feel kind of special as opposed to like, something.
Oh, they totally felt like all of a sudden we were eating something delicious. And it was made out of what felt like nothing. Okay. I'm going to show you my finished one here.
Right. Because even under these, Margot, that is.
So I'm going to put this one on the paper towels just to cool off a little bit. And I'm going to start pulling off my because the cheddar ones went in pretty early also. So here's my cheddar ones. So I'm going to get these out and drained. And then we're going to get them cooled down enough to do a taste test. Let's see. So the one that was falling apart is still kind of falling apart, but it looks delicious because it's all melty. But I guess that is the trick of putting it in the middle so that they really don't fall apart on you. Or at least with the shredded cheese. The Parmesan cheese is fine to have mixed throughout, but the cheese that kind of melts and falls apart, it didn't work as well.
Right.
All right, so I have some out of the oven. I'm gonna keep those cooking. Ella's gonna do a little taste test in a moment.
I'm gonna try both.
Great.
Like any more?
No,
We have a little bit of stuff left over. All right, let's do this. Let's move it here.
Nobody judge the cleanliness of my stovetop. Okay, we are in the circle of trust.
Wait, can I see yours again?
Don't judge the cleanliness or lack of cleanliness of my stovetop.
Oh, there is zero judgment here. Awesome, it's looking amazing. All right, I'm doing a cheddar.
You know, if I can pull this off under these circumstances, then it's definitely an attainable recipe for most people at home.
I was going to say, Laura, if you can do this with a 2-year-old in tow.
A 2-year-old who wants a cup of MILK.
Yeah, then you are really, then anybody can do this. All right, I'm going to get this one in. So definitely the smaller, the better in terms of the crumbs. Although the big ones are kind of fun. And I'm gonna get this one in the oven. I mean in the fryer. All right, Al, let's get stuff moved out of the way.
I'm ready.
Okay, can you move some things down so that we can make some space here? We'll clean off our cooking area. We'll just move it out of view. And I have to go back to the oven. It looks kind of clean. And I'm gonna get you a plate. Which one are you gonna try?
I'm gonna try this one first and then one another. I'm gonna have that one and
We're gonna do this one?
yeah.
And which other one?
And that one.
All right, should we cut them open to show what the inside looks like?
Can I just eat it and then
Let's open it up.
try first?
What should we try first, everybody? What do you think? Should we try the cheddar or the traditional?
Which one?
Well, let's see.
Guys, I'm very hungry.
Well, let's cut open the traditional one. Oh boy, everybody. Look at that cheesy goodness in there.
I said the cheddar one, so I'm gonna try the cheddar.
Nice and melted. And then Ella's gonna open up the cheddar one next.
That's pretty impressive.
Not as melty, but falling the party.
The cheddar one is falling apart just a little bit,
It now.
but we're gonna test it out. Oh no, it's nice and melted. It just was at the other end. Ooh. Okay. The cheddar one, I'm thinking I would do in I might even dip in ketchup. I'm gonna go for the traditional one.
Yeah, I want them.
Mm.
Is that good?
Mm-hmm. They're really good.
Look, they're good. Now I'm excited for lunch. But remind me, so I flipped them, like I cooked, fried the bottom, flipped them over. Do you do it on like all 4 sides, or you just do kind of each side?
The ones that kind of like kept together, I did on all 4 sides. The one where I mixed the mozzarella cheese throughout came out more like a pancake.
Okay.
Which is fine. They taste just as delicious.
Good.
And they're like super cheesy throughout. That's the one that has this is the one that has the everything mixed in.
I gotta say,
So it's just messier.
Okay.
I think the traditionals are better, but I love the ones.
I like the traditional ones, but I think the cheddar would be really good with some just dipped in a little ketchup.
I like the good like drastic snack.
Right. We're looking at marinara.
Awesome. So I hope you all enjoy your lunch today. I'm so glad so many of you tried it. Marcy, I want to see some pictures. Marin, I need to see yours, and I think I also need. Yes, I want to see Nana and Grandma's as well. There was a couple questions. Oh, first of all, Marin said yours look really good. I agree, Laura. Yours look really well put together. We are impressed. Arancini, one-handed. It's pretty amazing. What are we serving it with? With the traditional ones, I like to serve it with a little tomato sauce to dip it in. With the cheddar ones, I think I'm probably going to do mine with some ketchup.
Yeah.
I think tomato sauce would work well.
Yes, I'm planning to use tomato sauce and then like serve it with a salad for myself. And
sounds awesome.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be great.
Good. Well, enjoy your lunch, everyone.
Kelly.
Nice to see you.
Thank you for teaching me how to do this. I'll be making it again for sure.
Awesome. Good stuff. Bye.
Yeah.